Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about Carolina Dean. And well, truth be told, she just looks quite awesome. She is going to be an absolutely offensively geared champion. I do not think there's going to be that much into her defensive kit, but she does look like an answer to specific defensive threats, and in general kind of less RNG reliant Hyperion-esque champion. We'll see about how it works out exactly. Obviously there are differences, but it does look quite good and unique. So the cool thing is going to be her unblockable specials and power gain that you do get whilst you are in the light, ability to parry non-contact specials, and her absolute indifference to opponents, crit resistances and alike, because she is going to be dealing just about all her damage via incinerates and instant incinerates and energy vulnerabilities. Now, obviously, that does come with inherent weaknesses, because there are plenty of champions who are incinerate resistant, highly energy resistant, so on and so forth. But still, I think for her target matchups, she could be one of the Nuke champions as well, quite rapid, thanks to her, increased power gain. And that brings quite a lot of hope, because she, I think, could be potentially one of the few champions that is able to nuke down somebody like Zola, who is definitely a big problem now. She's also one of the better counters for my arch nemesis, the Shocker, who I hate to fight, truthfully. And yeah, having an ability to glance incoming hits as well, that reduces the chip damage that she takes, and that's quite awesome. So let's take a look at her rotation. Effectively, you do want to be in the light, and whether you are striking opponent or not, whilst you're in the light, it's not as significant, because whilst you're in the light, you are gaining, her currency buff, effectively, and then you can convert them into the incinerates, and you can fuel your glancing abilities, and then you can do big damage thanks to them, and you're gaining power anyways. And on top of it all, she does have access to passive stun, same mechanic as America Chavez, for instance, does. And as we can see here, that Zola got absolutely nerfed. If she's awakened, she also has pulverized, which will help her against, specific tech threats as well, but I do think that she can kind of do quite well without it. Her awakened ability does seem to be giving her extra damage though, so it's always going to be nice, but I do think most of her functionality will be there without it. And yeah, again, she does look quite good, especially because Zola is one of the bigger problems right now in the game, defender wise, because he's quite recent. We don't have too many great counters for him. He is quite annoying to fight, and he's one of those meta champions that I'm glad that we're getting some more answers to. And on top of it, I think she will be good for just about every champion tech class, maybe with the exception of Fam, because Fam obviously does interact with incinerates in a specific way, unless it doesn't. Does it count on passives? We'll need to double check that. But yeah, the way she absolutely annihilates and bypasses Zola's defense, though, I do like quite a bit. So let's take a look at her full abilities. As we can see here, damage mark is 4.5, survivability is 3.5, largely due to that glancing probably. And then everything else is fairly like mid. Ease of use not marked too high, but I don't think she's going to be too hard to use once you kind of get used to chasing that sunlight. The question about the lag will be real, because, so far, whenever we do get mechanic like this, it's dangerous. Heavily focused on the sun shines down in different locations across the stage. Standing on it grants Carolina iridescence buffs, which she can consume to activate her abilities. Standing in the sun also grants Carolina additional power and unblockable specials. That's going to be her one defensive threat as well, I feel like. You don't want her to randomly activate special attack while she's in the sun. These abilities combined with her long-range special animations lead to gameplay revolving around chasing the sun to melt away the competition. And that's one cool thing that I like, that you can just be in the sun, gain power without striking the opponent, and then just use your special attacks, because they're going to be unblockable and they do not have a set reach. So, basic abilities: Instinct, Iridescence, Power Gain, Unblockable, Glancing, and Incinerate. His strength: out of this world incinerate damage. Carolina has access to some incredibly powerful incinerates that deal extra powerful burst damage during her special attacks. That is cool. These can, and again, obviously that is the weakness, as mentioned here, Incinerate immunity. Against Incinerate immuno-resistant champions, she's gonna be poop. Incredible damage mitigation while block. I love that. I like that on any champion, because again, she can glance all types of incoming attacks if she does have iridescence, reducing their attack rating and ability accuracy as well. So that's very, very good. Power gain while soaking up the sun, and I love this. And it's quite potent power gain as well. And that means obviously easier access to specials, which means easier, quicker ramp, which means quicker fights in general. So, buff control. Caroline's iridescence buffs are key to the resource which allow her to glance. Okay, so any half decent mystic will probably rinse her though. Special requirements, spacing requirements. It's heavily encouraged Caroline spends most of her time in the sun, otherwise she will not be able to. Okay, don't let the flame die out, please and thank you. And yeah, I think that is one of the bigger X factors for her being a successful or not so successful champion. Obviously, is how well you manage the spacing and locations in the map and being in that sun. And then there are going to be obviously plethora of nodes or champion abilities that will make it more difficult, which we can't potentially foresee fully now. But glowing with fly over planet sunshine, always active. Carolina's fly over planet physiology grants her 100% resistance to incinerate effects. Additionally, incinerate effects do not lower her block proficiency or remove her perfect block chance. Okay, that's fine. So incinerate resistance. Also, her attacks deal energy damage. So hey, she's gonna be a core counter, and grants her immunity to special lock, power lock, cold snap, and frostbite effects. And that's, you know, quite useful. Nice bunch of immunities there. Carolina has a useful pep in her step, granting her an indefinite instinct buff, which allows you to parry projectiles, which is awesome and good. And I love that ability in any champion now. And it's obviously huge for somebody like Zola as well, but not just Zola. You know, we do have the Negasonics. And Negasonic is not Incinerate. As stupid as it is, Negasonic is not Incinerate immune, so she will work against that, or Shuri. And yeah, that's good. Soaking the iridescent sun. Carolina can absorb indefinite iridescence buffs from the sun as it shines down in various locations across the stage. After appearing briefly, the sun fades away before appearing in a new location. You will get kind of like a guiding, pointing symbol showing you where the sun is to find it quicker and easier. Carolina starts with 2 iridescence buffs, max 15, but you can always replenish them. While in the sun, she gains following abilities. Gain 1 iridescent buff every 0.65 seconds. Carolina gains power gain buff, granting 2% of bar power each second for each iridescence buff up to 6%. So it's 6 up to 6. So that would be 12% of bar power each second, and that is very potent power gain, similar to Hyperion's. Charging heavy attack in the sun after landing a non-combo ending attack inflicts stun passive for 2.2 seconds. It's actually quite long. This stun cannot have its duration modified by tech champions. Good. Carolina activates special attack while in the sun. She gains an unblockable buff. Good. As an attacker, Carolina stands still while in the sun. Makes sense. I'm typically not a fan of standstill stuff, but here, because you do want to be in the sun and because you do have the unblockable specials that stretch through the map, I think that's perfectly fine. Solar Shield block. Now, I think this is actually going to be low-key MVP. Because whenever Carolina blocks a hit, she consumes iridescence buffs based on the blocked attack to grant herself a glancing buff for the duration of the attack. This buff is removed if Carolina is struck. So it's meant to purely work on blocked hits only. When the opponent glances against Carolina, damage is reduced by 85% and offensive ability accuracy is reduced by 40%. So it's not like the most potent glance, but still. Light and medium attacks, 1 buff, special 1, 3 buffs, special 2, 6 buffs. But again, this consumes 3 buffs for like all of the hits on special 1, for instance, against Nick Fury. So you can make the entire level 1 glance for the cost of 3 buffs, not for each hit on the level 1. But I do think this is going to be quite powerful. Solar Infused Incinerates. Personal Incinerate passives deal 3k energy damage over 14 seconds. That's not a lot of damage. Pause during special attacks, max stacks 12. As defender, personal incinerates scale with base stack only and deal half the damage. During Carolina's special attacks, personal incinerates deal no damage. Instead, each Caroline special attack hits inflicts an instant incinerate for each personal incinerate active. And this is where like a lot of her damage stacks up. The more incinerates you have, the more instant incinerate damage opponent's going to be taking, and kind of like goes up exponentially, really. And then obviously they're still left with the regular incinerate damage in between the specials. Special attack 1, I feel the sun on your skin. Gain 8 iridescence buffs over the course of the special attack. It's effectively a ramp up special. But yeah, you don't really want to do it. Typically, from what I can see, is you just want to be dropping these. Each hit consumes 1 iridescence buff to inflict 1 personal incinerate passive. That's it. Very simple. Go pew pew, go inflict a ton of incinerates, and burst her up. Special attack 3, iridescent sun over paradise, consume up to 12 iridescent buffs to inflict 12 personal incinerates. Gain non-stacking intensify buff, letting you do more damage, while active Carolina generates iridescence buff 35% faster. Still don't want to do that. Effectively, she's a type champion, I think, where you just about always want to use the level 2s, and that's it. So, signature ability, she's actually surprisingly simple for 2025, in my opinion. When Carolina has her block struck by a heavy attack, she consumes 6 iridescence buff to resist the block break and grant herself a glancing buff for the duration of the attack. I hate this because, I mean, like, you don't ever want to eat a heavy attack anyways, but this probably is going to matter more on defense and is going to be more annoying than anything, but okay, fine, whatever. At 6+, iridescence buffs personal incinerates also pulverize 1 armor up effect, removing it and dealing a burst of extra damage. That's nice against attacks. For each iridescence buff, gain 5% increased incinerate potency up to 6 iridescent buffs. So I do think she can do fine without being awakened, but obviously being awakened will give her more damage. So there we go. Synergy bonuses, Love to the Moon and back. Vindico Minaru, when each personal incinerate fails due to the immunity against tech champions, inflict a plasma. Oh, that is very good. But against tech champions only. So it's like Penny Parker. Oh, she can't counter Penny Parker because Penny Parker is incinerate immune. Okay. Okay, this is obviously very good synergy though. Teeth inside my neck. While suffering from an incinerate effect, Carolina generates iridescence buff 35% faster. While in the sun, and her personal incinerates gain increased duration. With more Bison coming soon. Ooh, does that mean there's a Dracula coming? I think that's a hint for Dracula. Incinerate effect. Okay. Powerful. Caroline's special 3 cannot be activated unless charging heavy attack. Okay, whatever. And there we go. So, recommend masteries, parry, stupefy, obviously. Recommend stat focus, offensive stat focus, critical rating, block proficiency. From most of the standard. However, increasing her damage crit rate will be the best option to power up her. Yeah, I don't think any of the stat focus really help her much. Block proficiency is probably more useful. I don't know. Defensive stat focus, block penetration, sure. Recommended relics, Miss Marrow. Caroline does not specifically shine with any of the current relics. However, out of all of them, Miss Marrow's relic does grant the precision to make Caroline's. Yeah, so yeah, basically it's just about any relic that you can put on. Overall, though, I do think she looks quite good. Because I do think she will be quite capable, not only destroying most of the tech champions, obviously the Zola that I mentioned, she should be very good against the Warlocks, because you don't rely, and you can get rid of armor up, and you do not rely on crits anyways on specials, and I think Sentinels are going to melt for her as well, because again, doesn't care for much of that. Red Skull's probably going to get nuked, and most of the tech class, with the exceptions of Penny Parker and Prowler, really, and maybe Fam. But I also think, she's going to be good against Korg. I think she's going to be quite decent against the Tuma, actually. Because you can hardly be hitting the opponent and doing a ton of damage. So I think she's not going to be perfect, but I think she's going to be decent there. I think she's going to be good against Korg, obviously, because it's all energy damage. I think... Who else would she be destroying? Wonder how well would she do against Nick? How fast? Because she does have crazy amount of damage. Not particularly good against Bullseye, obviously. Not good at all. Against mutants. Not good against Onslaught because it's incinerate damage. well, she would be good against Dust, I think, because it's Incinerate. So I do think she would do well against Dust for sure, because it's all energy. I think she could be quite good against Gentle as well. Then, I wonder how well she would do here. She should be good against things. And since I don't think any of her buffs expired, I actually think she would be half decent against a bunch of Mystics too. Because her iridescent buffs do not have an expiry, neither has her power gain, unblockable, or her parry the non-projectiles. I actually think she's the type of Cosmic that could be able to destroy a fair amount of Mystic champions too. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, but I think if her damage and usability is kind of like viable enough, we might have quite a relevant champion on our hands. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about